to the Halloween Drawing Challenge. I am Monster D, and I have spent a lot of time recently talking about and drawing pumpkins. They have made their way into many of my videos in many forms, but I do believe that I may have been overlooking some of the other icons of Halloween. Well, today I aim to rectify that, for I'm going to take two famous icons and combine them into one. That would be the spider and the bat. And I'm going to make this a slightly different drawing challenge today in that I am not going to use the timer. Instead, I'm going to show you a little more of how I normally draw without all the extra pressure. So sit back, relaxed, and get ready to get monstrous with me. Here we go. So I am making a spider bat. So the first thing I want to get on here, first important thing to me, is a spidery face. As you know, I have a strong disdain for the smiley face spiders, and I do not mean the real smiley face spiders from Hawaii. Those are quite lovely, but the sort of generic, fuzzy, smiling, just completely wrong Halloween decorative spiders, they just bother me. And I do know that combining a spider with a bat is also, in many ways, wrong, you could say. But I like to think, at the very least, this is just a little bit more, I don't know, more aesthetically natural, in a sense. Less cartoony might be the word I am looking for, but we shall see. All right, so I'm going to give his little pedipalps more like the trademark bat legs right there. And then start moving into spider leg territory. So are you, by any chance, creeped out by either the spider or the bat? If so, which one disturbs you more? Or do you enjoy both of them in equal measure? I am a long-time arachnid lover. Spiders, I just think, are beautiful, amazing creatures. There's a lot to learn from them, from the things they do, from their various behaviors, from the many, many, many species. And so many of them, at least as far as humans are concerned, are quite docile, quite harmless. All right, so let's see. Try to showcase legs in the back without getting too cluttered. There's always a challenge with a spider. But now I have to make this a little more bat happy, and I'm going to accomplish that by creating membranes between these front legs here. So maybe this spider can crawl, and then it can sort of use its legs outstretched to take bat wing. How does that work for you? All right. Large distended abdomen in the far back there. So you see me using the highlighter here. And apologies if this is at all hard for you to see, but that is how I normally draw. I start out with a nice understructure to get a good idea of where I'm going, and then I flush it out with actual ink. Okay? And sometimes to prepare myself for heightened effects, I will switch to a different color of highlighter. So then maybe I can know what I'm doing with these membranes to get that sort of depth perception. It's a difficult trick. I have to find sort of the happy medium of the further back leg there to make it look like it is attached in 3D space. All right. And then maybe highlight. I may switch to yet another color. I love these highlighters for this reason, but so many of them do tend to not last very long. Very short ink life they seem to have. All right. I am not entirely sure how many fingers the average bat foot has, but I'm going to assume it's 5. And this is going to go, this will wind up making this thing almost look more like a rodent than a bat, perhaps. I may go all the way out. I know there's a such thing as a long-eared bat, which could go a long way to give even more exaggeration. I actually might go that route. Make these ears even longer to get that long-eared bat look. All right. And I sort of just keep up with the understructure until it just starts making solid enough sense that I can go ahead and start fleshing it in. And I'm getting very close to that. All right. So, yes, I do believe I am going to start fleshing out now. So I am still a big fan of the chisel tip, but I will eschew my usual big fat ones in exchange for something a little smaller, a little more, shall we say, finesse. So I'm going to start there. I'm going to go right back to those jaws and make sure they are seen. Love those big, thick spider mandibles. And I'll give a little hint of the fangs within. Actually, I guess I'll just darken all that in so that you can tell there's something in there, but there's still a little bit of a mystery. That is kind of a weird thing about both arachnid mouths as well as that of insects. They have all these tiny little moving parts that make up their mouths, not just simple teeth like you and I have. So it's very rare to see a very accurate portrayal of these creatures' mouths, at least in hand-drawn art. I mean, I suppose maybe some of the CG artists and model artists have to get a little more detailed, but you start to see why back in the 50s they did things where they would create an insect but then give it more of that angry human mouth look. It was way off, way inaccurate, and kind of silly. But they probably took one look at some of the real insects and said, we are not spending time on all of that chaos. Especially for maybe a 22-minute episode of Twilight Zone or some such thing. All right, so detail those ears. All right. I'm going to save the smallest details for a little bit later, because I have another marker that I will likely use for that. Now, a lot of spiders, and of course, pretty much all bats, or most bats, tend to be very fuzzy, on the fuzzy side. So that can be a good way to help sort of get some quick action on those legs. There we go. Front legs. And then get the back legs in there. Now the cool thing about these chisel tips is as you go further back, you can get a little more minute. You can use a tip, either tip of the chisel, but when you come in front, you can go big with the flat side. And you can create some nice depth real quick. So there's that. And actually, I'm going to stop right there because I will probably need to switch to another tool that is even thinner than what I can pull off with the chisel tip. I mean, sometimes, a lot of times, I try to do it all with one type of marker. It's sort of like a personal challenge, but sometimes I just face facts. Some markers are just meant for certain jobs. Chisel tips are beautiful, but they do have their limitations. But I use them a lot because I just like them. You have that one or two tools that you use, whether for art or for something else, that just maybe to the average person is not the easiest way to do it, but because you are used to it, it is second nature to you. Maybe it's a certain computer tool, maybe it's a program that no one else likes to use, maybe a kitchen utensil that you use in a way that others do not. But I feel like so many of us do have those things that we, despite their perhaps impracticalities, we just like them. All right, so there we go. Getting there. Fill in some of the abdomen on the bottom there. How do you feel about this no time limit drawing challenge thing, huh? Rather makes me wonder how far in I am. I am not even looking at the time right now, not even trying to beat anything. But also try not to lollygag either. I'm not just here to eat up time. All right, so now I'm going to switch, and I'm going to get a fine tip, sort of a mechanical marker. Now these I use sparingly because they're mechanical, they really only create one thickness in line, which tends to go against organic drawing. Sort of a quick way to go to sort of a quick cheat to go between drawing, let's say, animals and plants versus machines is if you're drawing a machine, you use something like this to create unified line thicknesses. Or if you want something to look more biological, then you use something that has sort of a warbly tip, such as the chisel, to get a little more biomechanical there, or to get a little more organic, I should say. But this is just a case where these membranes are so thin, it does pay off to use the opposite, to use the mechanical, just because it is that fine. And the same can be said for these eyes. And the cool thing about starting with a mechanical pen like this is if you eventually want to get it thicker, I mean, you can go in with a mechanical, but then that gives me a guide, so then maybe later I can decide to darken some things with the chisel tip, but have that nice little reference guide underneath. All right, so now I'm going to make the little claws. There we go. Fingers. There we go. I do like to create a little bit of a undercarriage under the eyes to give them a little more personality. I will just do it with this marker while I have it here. All right. Darken the under parts. Remember, you make the underside of a drawing, make those lines thicker, and then by default, you will create sort of a weight, an extra weight for it, make it look heavier. I mean, I suppose bats and spiders are not necessarily all that heavy, but perhaps this is a giant bat spider. Throwing out all sorts of rules for this one. All right. There we go. There we go. Interesting. To stop and consider, make sure I do not get fooled. So this leg is connected there, and then this one is way back there. Actually, that probably shouldn't even be seen by that part, so I'll just cover it up in shadow. Oop, I'm going to go back to my smaller pen, smaller marker, to get this membrane all the way back here. Thicken this membrane up here a bit. All right. There we go. There we go. Still going. Almost done. Now, I'm just going to darken this fellow up. Darken the underside there, create some stray shadow lines. Shroud it in darkness. Pop out some of those lines up front, make them stand out from the back. Actually, I can go to the back, use this smaller marker, and create some more shade, because these are the insides of the backs of the legs. So they're going to take in a little more shade. You can even shade in those back membranes a little bit. I just go real light, sort of tickle the page with the tip of this marker, and then you can get some lighter sort of shading effects there. I do not mind this being a bit messy. More shade where the membranes and the legs meet. That's going to create a crease. You remember that from over here too. Create a little bit of a shading thing here to make that pop a little bit. All right, there we go. There we go. Almost done. Nearly done. All right. Now, I might add a crazy design in the back. Some sort of stripy thing going on back there. And almost done. Because I added that to the abdomen, it dawns on me that the head and the ears should have thicker lines to stand out from the abdomen even more. There we go. Really make them pop. There we go. Almost. There we go. And a little bit of shading right there too. Create some more mystery. All right, I'm going to call it. That is my spider bat. What do you think about that? Does that bat terrify you? Or do you think you might want to let that thing crawl on your arm for a little bit? Maybe a little bit of cuddling here and there. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this Halloween drawing challenge. If you have, please do claw that like button and toll that bell. Oh, and if you like this no timer format with some extended drawing, please let me know in the comments below. Until next time, stay monstrous.